Okay, so my chapter is chapter 5, section E. We're doing parallel and perpendicular lines. So basically all we're going to be doing is trying to get whether the line is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Find the slope of both equations, and if they're the same, the lines are going to be parallel. If they're different, they're going to be neither. And if the slopes are reciprocals of each other, then that means that they're perpendicular, and you can find the slope by looking at the number that's attached to x. So for the first one, we have 5x and 1/5. Well, you may think that it's 5 over 1, so 1 over 5 would be the reciprocal, but this one would be neither, because you have to make sure that if this is going to be the reciprocal, this has to be negative instead of just 1 over 5. So this would be neither. Now moving on to the next one. So basically, since there's no number attached to the x, we can just assume that it's going to be a 1, so you can draw a little 1 here. And then, so if we're looking at the number attached to 1, they're both 1. So if the two numbers are the same, then it's going to be parallel. Moving on to number 24, y equals 7x and y equals negative 7x plus 1. This would also be neither, because we have 7 here, negative 7x, and although we have the negative right, this would still have to be negative 1 over 7, so this would be neither. On this one would be perpendicular, because 3/2, the reciprocal of 3/2 is 2/3, and we have the negative here, which means that it's a perfect reciprocal, which means that these would be perpendicular. Now on 27 and 28, basically what I did was I just looked at them and I saw that you can basically you could still look at the x and see if the numbers attached to the x are going to be equal. And for 27, it's going to be neither, because they're obviously 2 and 1 are not reciprocals of each other, so it's going to be neither. And for 28, the same thing goes, but these are going to be parallel because there's both 1s in front of these x's. So on these last two, 23 and 26, didn't have those because of the camera angle, but x equals 3, y equals 2. This is actually going to be neither, because the variables over here aren't the same, so you wouldn't even get a line if you did that, so it would be neither. So basically it'd be kind of like no solution. And for 26 though, you have 2 y's, which means that there's 2 numbers marked on the y-axis, which would mean that they're parallel because they're both vertical lines. Parallel. Both vertical lines. Alright, so that's pretty much it for parallel and perpendicular.